This is Back to Back.
Yo, what's up, Back-to-Backers? This is Willy Joy. Welcome to the show. Today we have a very special episode. I am going to keep this intro very short. About a month ago, I was asked to moderate a panel on mental health with my friends Flosstradamus, Getter, Aryay, and Blaise DeAngelo. We did it over at the amazing Icon Collective School in Los Angeles. And today you are going to hear part one of 2 parts of that discussion. It turned out amazing. Shout out to everybody involved for having us. Man, I just had a blast. I was super nervous at the start. We've never done a live episode of this show before, so enjoy my stuttering and stammering at the start. But it turned out really good. I'm excited for you guys to hear it. I hope you enjoy it. If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to subscribe to this show. We put out new episodes every week. Check it out. And thank you for tuning into this. I think it's an important issue. Shout out to everyone involved one last time. And let's get into it. This is me moderating a mental health panel over at Icon Collective with Flosstradamus, Getter, Aryay, and Blaise DeAngelo. Woo.
I wonder who invented applause. You ever think about that?
Yeah, what, the first humans to applaud?
That works. Like, what did they try before it?
Yeah, that's a different talk. Hey guys, how's everybody doing? You guys good? Yeah. Awesome. Well, shout out to Icon Collective. Thank you guys for having us. Excited to be here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Willy Joy. I'm a DJ producer, and I also run a podcast. And you probably know many of these gentlemen. Basically, we just wanted to come here today to talk about mental health in the music industry, which is something that I think for a lot of us is something that is a big part of our lives, but that in this line of work, in this area of the industry, just gets overlooked, doesn't get talked about a lot. And really the point of us being here talking to you guys is just to start the conversation. And I think what a lot of us hope is that you guys will continue the conversation and that we can just kind of talk about our own experiences, talk about, you know, the things we've dealt with in our own lives. And if there's anything in that you can relate to, hopefully it's something you can take and sort of be of service to other people and just take care of yourselves as well, because I think that's the most important thing for anybody, but especially in this industry, it's something that doesn't get emphasized enough. So that's my long-winded spiel. To introduce the panel, to my right, we have Tanner.
What's up? I'm Tanner, a.k.a. Getter, your boy.
What up? My name's Kurt, a.k.a. Flosstradamus, I guess.
Yeah, that's you.
Hey guys, I'm Blaise, also known as Blaise.
I'm Mickey, also known as Aryay.
Hey.
Hey. And yeah, it's great to have you guys here. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Shout out to Kurt, who originally had this idea to do this.
Yes. Thank you.
Yep.
And I don't know, to start off, I guess I kind of wanted to talk about how we all started off in this game and to sort of ask, what were you like when you started this, and what got you into doing this, and kind of what were you excited about, what was fun at the time, and, you know, kind of what was your mind state coming into this? Like if you put yourself into the shoes of the people out here, like Blaise, for example, I remember you and I met really early on, before you started working for OWSLA, and you were on the way, you were basically road tripping out here to start working for OWSLA. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that that was the case, but I believe you.
It was.
It speaks to my mental state at the time.
It was in Chicago. I just remember.
No, for sure. I remember the night. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I was probably a numbskull at the time when you met me.
Me too, man.
I was probably 22 or 23, which I'm guessing is probably the age of a lot of people in here. I mean, I had a lot to learn. It was an exciting time because dance music was sort of a new-ish phenomenon to Americans, and it was exciting. Everything was blowing up. Everything that had dance on it was going to the moon, and at the same time, not a lot of people understood this new genre yet, at least in America. So it was like, okay, you're the kid who gets dance music. Cool, you're going to come do this. You're going to work for us. You're going to whatever. And moving to LA, it was crazy exciting, as I'm sure a lot of you guys experience. So much to dig into. And I was on cloud 9 for 6 months. I was going out every night, and obviously, being involved with a really incredible organization like OWSLA, there was, a plethora of social opportunities, I'll call it. Just stuff to get into, trouble to get into, and a lot of it was great. But at the same time, nobody really warned me. Nobody really gave me this kind of talk before I came out here. And I kind of wish somebody had, because, I'm not going to give you some crazy, like, oh my God, everything went crazy and I woke up in a pool of my own vomit in Vegas at 7 a.m. and the ambulance was there. It wasn't, nothing you'd read on headlines. But at the same time, it took me several years to really get my grips and realize that LA can be an incredibly inspiring place. It can be an incredibly depressing place. It can be kind of a lot of things, and all of a sudden you're surrounded by people who are, everybody who comes here was the man wherever they came from. Everybody moved here to try to make something better of themselves. And that fact alone can really intimidate you if you let it, if you don't look at it the right way, or it can really inspire you. And then being surrounded by all these things that surround the world we live in, dance music, what surrounds nightlife, electronic music, constant travel, drinking, drugs, prolonged solitude in front of a computer, and then this whole LA thing where like everyone's trying to be famous, it can really mess with your head. And I just wish that, it would have been good for me to have a little bit of, hey, this is what this is going to be like. You got to keep your ground. You got to keep your people, keep your friends.
Well, and for context, what were you coming out there to do at the time?
I moved out here in 2013 to run OWSLA for Skrillex. And I had been in Florida before that, DJing like locally and working for, anybody remember Groove Shark, the streaming service? I was doing that before OWSLA.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. Original pirate material.
Yo, real quick, how many people are out of towners? Like, wow, all of
so
you
that's
guys
like
came to
everybody.
LA.
Oh, yes. You guys are trying to make
That's-
something. I see you.
Wow. Okay.
That's
good. That gives us
crazy.
some good context.
Props. You can take risks. That's like the first.
Wow.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? What risks did you take early on? I mean, you're not from LA.
And I'm from the Bay Area.
Yeah. What brought you
Yeah.
out
Anyone
here?
from the Bay? Fuck yeah.
Go dummy.
I visited here a lot when I was younger. Like my uncles and shit live out here, and I loved it. But I always wanted to move here. And then I went on some tours, and I got fired from my smoke shop job, and then came here. I saved up tour money and Arby's money, and bought a Jetta, and then drove down here. And then I lived with Matt Simmers of Terra Vita. I don't know if he's still in Terra Vita, but
Yeah, I think he's doing his own thing.
yeah, but yeah, I lived with him and a couple homies, and then but
You worked at Arby's before this?
fuck yeah,
That's awesome.
fucking chocolate turnovers, bro.
Real quick,
day.
is total sidebar. Is the meat liquid before it becomes meat? I heard that's part of it.
It came in like a weird bag.
Yeah, that's what
I
I
don't think
heard.
they wanted people to know. But
Wow.
one of the chefs, one of the microwave users, his name was Juan, and I helped him set up every morning. And it came in a loaf, but it was a frozen loaf. So I don't know if it was just like fucking pieces of animals like mashed
Yeah,
together.
oh, yeah,
but
definitely.
shit was
Arby's
fire.
conspiracy
Dude,
Sure.
I'm
thread.
thinking Arby's right now, actually.
Postmates? You want a Postmates?
But to actually loop this back in, I think there's something in there that maybe we can touch on for a minute, which is the idea of having a side hustle.
Oh yeah, dude. I was I started doing music like sophomore year, after I saw my first Bass Nectar concert. Swear to God.
Fuck
Same, bro.
And yeah, wait, really?
Yeah, in Florida.
Oh shit, fuck yeah, dude. His shit was crazy. But yeah, I just like started it, and I took like I did it in high school, and I would be in like working at Arby's, and then on the weekends go play shows, and then come back and work at fucking Arby's, and then it kind of just all kind of built up, and then after I toured, I got fired, and then moved down here. But when I moved here, it was like, obviously, probably, hopefully, it's where everybody's head's at, where you're like, I want to do this shit. Like, this is what I want. This is what I'm born to do. And that's like a really good attitude to have. But I feel like the only thing I missed was thinking about my psyche and myself. You know what I mean? Because you go into it and it's like, people don't realize that there's you as a person, and then there's you as like, for me, it's like Tanner and then Getter. And it's like, it's not always the same shit. So like, if I fucking, I don't know, if I go touring as Getter, it's not me necessarily touring as Tanner. Whereas like early on, I didn't really realize that. So it was kind of like everything was real, but like none of that shit is really real.
And
at least from what you see.
Yeah, and maybe anyone can speak to this. I mean, do you feel that you would get rewarded basically for being Getter? You know, like the more you would be Getter, the more you would be Flosstradamus or Aryay or whatever it was, that, you know, you'd get rewards from that, whether it was money or you know, likes or whatever it was, and then you could kind of lose the actual person behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like that's what happened. Like I kind of got lost in, not necessarily the partying, because everybody fucking likes to party. Like, come on. But like, you kind of just get like, you wake up, you make a phone call, you work on a song, you fucking maybe eat, and then play shows or just keep working on music, and you just don't take time for yourself. And like, whether that be walking down the street or playing Black Ops 4, let's go. It's like when it's all work, dude, it's like The Shining, like all work and no play. Straight up, like you need to have time for yourself. Yeah, I feel like it's a really big.
I'm gonna spin off that a little bit too, because like you said, you would leave and then you'd go out there and be Getter, and then you'd come back home and be Tanner. And like, I definitely felt that a lot too with like over the years, like I would be Floss on the road and I would be like this other person. I'd live this life and my home life would kind of get paused, and I'd be out there on the road, just go, go, go. And then I'd come back home, and then it would take me like a week to get back to reality. It was weird. Like, it was like, I love being on the road. It's such an amazing thing. But then all of the glitz and the glamour and everyone like jocking your ego and all that stuff, when you would come back home, it wasn't there. It's like, my girl's like, yo, you have to like wash the dishes. You have to do this, that, and the other. And so it was hard to go from everyone like praising me and then coming back to reality. And that transition is kind of what messed me up. And I wish I was a little more aware of that. I wish there was someone that could have been like, yo, like take some time for yourself and like learn how to meditate, learn how to like eat healthy. Like, cause I seriously would leave and like drink and eat so poorly, eat Arby's, and then I'd come back home.
Fuck yeah.
And then I'd try to eat Whole Foods or whatever. It was just like the opposite. So I think that I don't know what it was, but like that life was so tantalizing and so awesome that I just like leaned into the road life, and it became my reality. And I think you need to be a human in the end, because we're starting out right now as this, and we can't get lost in the sauce. And then you just like, all of a sudden that's who you become. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do, but it might turn you into the person you might not want to be in the end. So be true to yourself for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a quick remix of that.
Yeah,
please.
We're at the place of remixes.
We talked about that on the phone when Kurt first called me about this last week. I think there's a really important concept in here that it took me, and so I just turned 30 about 2 months ago, and it took me until this point in my life to identify this shit. So really listen to this. I mean, look, I know a lot of people tell you guys this shit, and you hear these cliches all the time. Take time for yourself. Be grounded. You see all these like Facebook quotes on Instagram, and you're like, what the fuck does that mean?
Mindfulness.
You know? Yeah, but like mindfulness. What the fuck is that? You know, when I was 22, I thought the same shit. You know, like, yeah, cool. That'll be fun when I'm like old and married one day. Maybe I'll do that. You know, now I'm having fun. You know, but like really listen to this stuff. I promise you guys, it's going to save you guys a lot of suffering in your 20s. One thing that it took me my entire 20s to realize, and it took me moving here, being on Cloud 9, being the head of, you know, a very prominent label in this scene for a long time. It took me eventually feeling this urge inside, like I had to move on to this new purpose in my life. And it was nothing, everything was great. You know, like those people at the label at ex-OWSLA are my family, some of my closest friends. For me, it was just about something different. It was about, I wanted to have something that was my own. And I think even now, 2 years removed from having left, maybe a year and a half removed, I finally articulated what it is, right? And this is it. You have to learn as a man, as a woman, as an adult, as a functioning autonomous member of society, you have to learn to identify yourself independently of external social constructs, right? And by that, I mean, like what you were just saying before, Tanner, you have to remember and train yourself to be Tanner separately from being Getter, right? I had to learn to be Blaise. I had to learn to be someone who is confident and likable and loves myself and gets along with others and contributes to society as myself. And I had to learn to derive my own self-image and self-confidence from nothing other than within, from myself, because I know that I'm a good person. I know that I work hard. I know that I try to make the right choices in life. I know that I try to help other people, right? Every year, every day of my life up to this point, it was always Blaise, the Groove Shark guy. Maybe he can help me out with this kind of promotion. Or Blaise is the OWSLA guy. Maybe he can help me get a release on OWSLA. Or maybe he can introduce me to Skrillex, you know? And that really fucks with you, especially in LA, because everybody wants something. Everybody's social climbing. Everybody's trying to use people, trying to get, figure out what they can get for their advantage. And you really have to, I'm not saying everyone has to quit their job and, go on a soul-seeking quest like I did, but one, it helps. Two, regardless of what you're doing, never forget that you are you, right? Never forget that, and don't fall victim to friends who may be fair weather friends who only like you because of this or whatever, and don't get so wrapped up in these false identities. If you become famous from what you're doing here, then that's great, but never forget that you are your own person, and if you keep that in mind, nothing can ever take you off your course or fuck with you, and you'll never get your balloon filled with hot air only to have it let down again at the end.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I think intention is a big part of that too, because what you're talking about is sort of, not letting the external things affect you. And I think all of us here, and all of you guys too, I mean, we're here because we love music and we love what we're doing, and that's why we started it in the first place. But then there's that line, right, where work and play, like, you can't tell the difference anymore, and what you love to do has become your job. And I think, I don't know if anyone has any wisdom, anything they've learned about how to sort of maintain so that work doesn't, like, you don't lose the enjoyment and the happiness and the excitement about what you're doing in all of this as your career progresses. Even at the start, like, I'm sure everybody out here, I'm sure you guys feel pressure. I'm sure there's competitiveness. I'm sure you feel like, you have goals you want to achieve while you're here, all of that. Does anyone have any thoughts about sort of, Mickey?
I just feel like it's inevitable that you're going to lose some sort of like charm and or like amount of love that you have for making music. You're going to naturally like ebb and flow with that stuff. But a really good way that I found to maintain like a level of happiness with it is to just not put all your eggs in one basket. So like you can be the producer who spends 8 hours a day or even more, and just like sitting there nitpicking and making little dubstep noises or whatever it is and just getting super like micro about everything. But like if you don't have any outside life, you're gonna go crazy. If you don't, and like for me, it would just be like exercising, literally like taking 30 minutes in the morning to go on a run. Or it's LA, so everyone hikes, so like even going on a hike and like getting outside, even though the air is like super smoggy, maybe like bring a mask, but like just getting outside and just getting some air and taking a break from production. And people say like for me, I have a buddy who has a very strict schedule that I'm gonna like try to adapt something like that, where he has like from 10 to 10:30 he does this, like I play video games from 10 to 11, and from 11 to 12 I eat lunch, and from 12 to 1 I do this. And one of the things he does is on Wednesdays and Sundays he doesn't make music at all, and he's a very successful producer. And I feel like adapting something even like that, where you are consciously taking a day to be like, I'm not going to do anything with music. And maybe they talk about that in Icon. Maybe that's like something, it sounds like something that I feel like everyone should know that, because like if you put, like I was saying, all your eggs in one basket and your whole life revolves around music, that's why we as producers or whatever everyone else is aspiring to be in here, you get so wrapped up in it. If you make a shitty song, you get so down on yourself because you're putting your entire life into this thing. So if you can take a little bit of that away and you can, you know, take a Sunday off, it'll help you, and like chill with friends more. It'll help you not feel that like strenuous feeling of my whole thing is this.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Any other thoughts on that note as far as, you know, keeping it fun, keeping the enjoyment there, not having it feel like a job?
Yeah, I feel like my schedule now is I only make music when I'm on the road, and then when I get home, I only mix shit at home or play video games. But I don't know. I feel like if you're not one for schedules, like I get so stressed out with schedules. But if you kind of just make it a habit to, like for me, when I leave my house and I go to the airport, that's like right when I start making new shit or like working on old shit. But like, yeah, I feel like Mickey's got that shit down, like the whole scheduling and like making time for yourself. But I also feel like I remember Oliver Tree, if you guys know him. Me and him grew up together, and like he is like one of the wisest dudes I know. He's just like, his middle name's Tree, and his parents are like super hippies, so they taught him like how to be healthy and do all this shit. And he was like the first friend of mine where like he could be like, "Hey, how's your mental health? How are you doing?" I'm like, "What the fuck?" Okay. Like he was the first dude I could be open with, besides like, you know, the people you move on with. Hopefully, if you stick with people after high school, from high school, you get open with them. But like, I feel like being open with people, and he always told me change is essential to growth, because think about it, like I used to do Legos all the time when I was a kid, and you start with the small ones, and then I built like a life-size fucking Yoda, and it was sick. But like, if I only made that small one all the fucking time, but with different bricks or maybe like different shape, it gets boring, and you'll go fucking crazy. So I feel like the more you change, not just in your music, but in yourself, whether it's a fucking haircut or like clothing style or shoes, it's like you'll grow more. I mean, maybe not fucking shoes, but you know what I'm saying. Like, the more you change and have an open mind about stuff, and not just making and creating, but like listening and like adapting to shit. I feel like if you look at it from all different angles, there's a lot of different shit you could do.
And I think like allowing yourself to have that time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think there's so much, like all of us, and I think for everybody out in the audience too, we all internalize all this pressure about what we're supposed to be doing every minute of the day. We're not doing enough. There's social media, so we think that everybody else is doing more than we are. And it's all this kind of false. It's all false, right? And we're all doing fine, and everybody moves at their own pace. And yeah, I guess that's all I had to say about it, is that, I mean, maybe that's a good way to talk about the social media aspect of it, because I think that's something that we all have to engage with to a certain extent for our career. And I don't know, personally, I have mixed feelings about it. I don't really like doing it. I think if I was not in this career, I wouldn't have social media at all. But, you know, in that, I try to find enjoyment in it. Like, how have you guys engaged with social media in a way that feels healthy?
Yeah, like just like Mickey was saying, I take breaks from social media a lot. Like, and for me, I don't know, like a lot of people, I think if you do take a break from social media, just like it's like it could like mess your numbers up and all these things.
Yeah, you get worried.
Oh my God, yeah.
You're like, fuck.
Yo.
That one got 7,000 likes. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
It's so fucked up.
But on some real shit like that. And it sucks that they have that in there. I wish that like Instagram and stuff, you could like either turn that off, or even there's times I wish it was just a one-way street. Like I wish I could just like post to this anonymous thing and it just goes out there. But
for all you app developers.
Yo, for real though. Actually holler at me afterwards for other stuff. But anyway, what was I going to say? But the damn thing with Instagram and all social media, it's like opening the refrigerator and hoping there's like new food in there. Like for me, I'm always just like, I'm hungry and like, I'm like, oh, I know there's something in there. And I open the refrigerator and it's like.
And then you get stuck in a hole of watching people fucking break dance.
Oh my God.
You're like, whoa, that's sick. Cool.
Shout out to Jabberwockies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to take a break from it, and you just gotta not, those numbers don't mean anything, because it's so weird. Like, I don't know. There's times where my numbers aren't popping, whatever it is. I'm losing followers, all of that. But then I'll do a show, and then I'll look out there on the crowd, and there's like hundreds of kids with warning signs on their shirts, and I'm just like, wait, this is more tangible. This is in real life. This is happening.
Yeah, that's the shit that matters.
Yeah, it's like that's what really matters. And the social media stuff, it's so much easier to get caught up in it because you're at home on the toilet, and it just like, I don't know. It's like you're in. I don't know how to explain it, but it just feels more real. But it's not reality. Like what's reality is like the people that are there at the show. Even if it's 3 people at a show, those people are there to see you do what you do and enjoy the music you make, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
like that,
I feel like social media can be used as sort of a cheat code, meaning like if your music isn't fully there and like you're still kind of working on developing your style, but like you make 6 3D renders or something, then you can get a bunch of followers from that, and then everything else will come. But like I feel like a lot of people I look up to, like Phil Collins, where the fuck is his Twitter? Like the fucking icons that you look up to, they never, like, it never matters to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and I would say even the icons that we have now, like our modern icons, I mostly are not on social media very much. You know,
it's like you just like know them from their music. So it's, I mean, I guess it's up to you if you want to be a personality, entertainer, and you know do like funny shit, stupid shit while also doing music, kind of an all-in-one thing. Then like go for it on social media, like. But
again, it can't be forced, right?
Exactly.
It's like what you were saying about 3D renders. Like if that's your shit and you love making 3D renders, go do it 100%. I mean, I think about like you and Vine back in the day.
Fuck.
Like, but like at least my impression was you were just doing that shit because you thought it was fun. Like
and
you were
see,
just
like,
having a good time.
Yeah, it was like you do that shit because it's funny and they're quick and it's super easy and stuff, but. And then you get a bunch of, dude, my shit went crazy from all that shit. And then like a couple years go by. I mean, fucking Mickey, you were there on tour when everybody kept saying all the Vine jokes, like all the fans knew all the fucking jokes, but they didn't know any of the songs.
Right. They would like approach you on the street and be like, so dude.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, fuck, bro. But I mean, like, it was cool. And it was like, I appreciate it for what it was, but it's like, you just have to be careful because it's like, I was just being stupid and it just happened to blow up and all this shit. But now that I'm in a spot where I'm like, okay, I'm not a fucking comedian. I'm not anything else but a musician. I want to do strictly music. Then you get kind of like even more stuck in your head and bummed out because you're like, okay, I sold this show out. It's going to be so cool. And then you play and it's like, you're like, yo, this is a brand new track. Took me 8 years to make. This is like literally my brain. And if you don't like it, I'm going to cry later. And then everybody's just like, dude, what's up, dude? Like, you know what I mean? It's, you just have to be careful with it. So it's not the worst thing, but it can be the worst thing because it kind of just like taints your shit you're actually trying to do.
It's also super weird with like social media because now there's so many things to follow. There's so many things to copy. And there's and with like Vine, when Tanner was getting big on that, whatever he did was like definitely more original. And now people look at stuff and they're like, well, I could be a Dylan Francis and I could just like find a balance between making jokes and making music. And I feel like at least when I started, that didn't exist like at all.
Yeah, I think that's true. There wasn't a roadmap, right, when a lot of us started. And now I think for a lot of you guys in the audience, it is easy to look at whatever ex-DJ's poppin' Instagram account that they post to 20 times a day and be like, oh, this is what a successful artist does, which is dangerous, I think, because what you see on there is not necessarily the truth, you know?
And on one thing to spin off that, like he said, there's like a roadmap now, but like you guys have the ability to make a new roadmap. You guys can be the next wave that everyone else copies. You can be the next dude, or you could be whatever it is that.
Dumpy.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But no, you guys can start the wave, and that's why we wanted to even do this in front of our audience too, because like we want you guys to take that and like lead from our example, I guess, and like start the next wave of what this can be.
Yeah,
and you don't have to follow what's going on because you're gonna be like everyone else that's out there doing the same thing.
Yeah, and honestly, the dudes that do it different, and we're like, even like as an artist where you're already at a point where you can live off it and it's your career, when you see that new shit, no matter how small or big it is, you're like, what the fuck? Like, it's so cool and different that it just works. So it's like, I always try to push, like if anybody asks me like, yo, what would you do? What would you do in my position if you're trying to do what you're doing? I'd be like, dude, just do it however you want to do it. Because if you copy someone, you'll always be second best no matter what because you're copying them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, even if you take inspiration from it, that's fine. But yeah, I feel like it's cool to be weird and different, and you should try to be weird and different.
Here's the thing. There's a poet called Saul Williams. Anyone ever heard of Saul Williams? Yeah, he's the man. So he had a rant he was on about a year ago that was really resonated with me. And he was on, you are what you eat, right? What you consume is what you eat. The same is true with social media. What you read, what you see, what you subscribe to. Without realizing it, that's what you become. In the same way that they say you are the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? Everyone heard that? You are what you read, and you are what you consume, and you have to watch your diet, right? That was a really huge pivotal point for me. And I've seen, speaking of being original, I think the only way to do that, one of the most poignant things anyone said to me around social media, other than Saul Williams, is I'm sure everyone knows Miha, yeah, our homegirl. I was with her a few months ago, and I just asked her, like, hey, I noticed that you only follow 3 people on Instagram now, and you like hardly ever post anymore. Like, what's the... I had a feeling why she had done that, but I wanted to hear it from her. And she said 2 reasons, one of which actually I hadn't even considered. One of which was, social media becomes such an echo chamber, right? Because Instagram and Facebook and all these things, they show you what they think you want to see or hear, right? They show you shit that your friends are doing or that their friends are doing. And what ends up happening is all that you see is what you kind of already know and subscribe to. So it's sort of just exacerbating the views and the inspirations and the thoughts and ideas that are already in your head. You're not getting anything new. And as anyone knows who works on anything creative, every idea that is powerful and original comes from within. Does not come from anywhere else. Comes while you're in the shower, comes while you're driving, comes while you're on vacation. Usually times you're chilled out because your brain is not polluted with bullshit. But anything that comes from anywhere other than that is bullshit, is a secondary recycled idea, right? And so I think that can be poisonous when you're following and you're subscribing too much, drinking the Kool-Aid of what you're seeing on social media. Don't forget that that's just the same shit that you're already surrounded by. So what Amber was doing is she basically said, I don't follow anyone now because I want to make sure that every idea that I'm coming up with and every thought that I have is purely original and wasn't inspired by some flyer I saw 2 weeks ago that I forgot that I saw. And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think in that there's the idea of making yourself uncomfortable every once in a while. Like, I think it's important to not get comfortable and to not just stay in comfort the whole time. Because if you look at any of the trends that have come along the last few years, the hot sounds, the genres, somebody will take a risk and do something new. The first person, and like the first person who started applauding. And and everybody latches onto it because holy shit, this is amazing. This is a new idea. I haven't seen this before. And then what we see is, this kind of pyramid that under them people just try to sort of get in on this movement because it's exciting, it's cool, it's new. And you get this sort of trickle down effect that, by the time 6 months, a year has passed, the internet, all of us collectively have just sort of processed through like all the possibilities of this one idea. And then somebody else takes another risk, and that person is the vanguard of whatever that sound is. But there's not that many of those people. And I think the reason for that is because it's really scary to do something new, to do something that you're not sure. You don't have any context if people are going to like it or not. It doesn't follow in a tradition of something like that. And I mean, I've gone through that personally in my career for sure. I was never known for like a single sound, and so I would pop off for a year with like one song and be like, oh, should I just make more of this kind of song? And I'd try that and I'd see kind of diminishing returns with that. And I kind of just over time had to realize that what people liked about my music was just that it kind of sounded like me, and it was just my ideas, and it wasn't because it was a specific style or a specific scene. I mean, I know, Getter, for you, like with the new album you put out, like was there some worry that people wouldn't get it?
So much, dude. I feel like, you want to know what I started doing to deal with that? And it sounds stupid, but I keep my expectations so low, and I'm always like, if I'm trying to do something, I'm always like, this isn't going to fucking work. People are going to hate this shit because it's better like the outcome of that is better than being like, this is the shit, this is the best shit, and everyone's gonna love it, and I'm gonna be a fucking celebrity. Because if that doesn't happen, you're bummed out. But if you're like, this is trash, okay, not trash, but like, this is not as good, people are gonna be weird about it, people aren't gonna like it, and then they fuck with it, you're like, oh, sick. This is like way doper than I thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to just real quick throw something on there that my friend Sammy, who we all know, LS Dream, aka Brills, told me that I really loved. Was he was saying he used to be really worried about being perfect and making something that was perfect, and now he just wants to make something that he's proud of. So he just replaced that. So now he, as long as he's proud of whatever he's done, then it's good.
That's all you can do, is be happy with what you've made. If you start off with it, to go one step beyond, I think what Tanner was just saying, if you start off and you're already thinking about what other people are going to think at all, you probably should think about that and change that, right? You got to make something that's going to make you happy, because that's the only thing you can control. And I think that people, whether they realize it or not, can kind of smell that, right? Like, people, I think, know Kanye doesn't give a fuck. Skrillex doesn't give a fuck. A$AP Rocky doesn't give a fuck. These guys are just making shit that they think is cool. Tyler, the Creator. You know, think about anybody who came out and who like really gave the middle finger. That alone, that essence is, I think, what's so appealing. You know, truth in art. So I think, like, make something that you're going to be happy with. And I think that will do worlds for you beyond trying to please any one or many people, you know?
Yeah, I would agree. And Kurt, you know, for you, I was thinking about, we were talking about, you know, the balance between the brand and the artist. And I think Floss has, you know, one of the strongest brands around. And I was sort of curious how you felt about balancing, you know, the brand and the image of it with, you know, the person behind it, and sort of how much to, like, just how do you balance that really, and how does that work out in terms of the live show, in terms of your like work-life balance, you know, how much of it, like, how much do you put in of yourself, you know?
Yeah, like when Josh and I first started doing the whole Floss like wave, it was honestly, it was just us trying things. We're like, yo, let's make a smokable album, and we hollered at China, and we made these vape pens that you could smoke, and then you could plug it into your computer and then download the album.
So sick.
And
that is so tight, bro.
Yeah,
props.
And then like another thing, we wanted to find a way to like hijack we're older, so we've been in the game. I've been doing Floss for almost 14 years now, so like we've been going to South by Southwest forever. Like, this was before there was DJs there, and then there were DJs there, and then there was like SoundCloud rappers. We've been through there the whole time. But we always noticed, like, early on, everyone was looking for signals and cell phone signals at South by Southwest. And so me and my boy Chris, we made these Wi-Fi lunch boxes, and we like threw them all over South by Southwest. And we made it so when you go to your phone and you try to connect to Wi-Fi, whether it's like default network or Linksys, it automatically hijacks your phone. And you type in like facebook.com, and then it goes to the Hoodie Nation page. And then like, so all these people thought they were connecting and getting signal, trying to talk to their friends. But anytime they use their phone, a splash screen came up. Like, if you ever go to like the Boingo hotspot and it just pops up, it was like the Hoodie Nation thing. And so like, just to those are like a few of the little things that we did. But what I was just gonna say for like we were just like, at that time, it was just like there was no one paving the way, and we just like wanted to do different things and like and do like find these technologies and find these things that are existing, and then tweak them a little bit. Like when we made the smokable album, there was already vapes out. There was already like vapes, and then you charge them with USB. So we just hollered at the vape company. We're like, yo, can we just put a data chip in this? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And same with the lunchbox, the Wi-Fi lunchbox thing. There was like the technology out there. It was just like sitting there, but it's this old technology people forgot about. And we like reappropriated it and made it like some 2013 stuff. So I don't know.
Well, you've always been like a tinkerer too, right? Like, these ideas, I've known you for a long time. Like, you always have these little ideas, right? And so I think that maybe speaks to my original question, which is that you were able to kind of build your personality into the brand of Floss, right?
Yeah.
And like all the crazy marketing, all of it was authentic to you, right? And maybe that's how you kind of thread the needle there.
Yeah, definitely. And it's crazy to bring it back into why we're here with like the with like the mental health side of this stuff too. Like it's kind of easy to get lost in the sauce. So like that version of Floss, like that was just like us like enjoying this and like really getting into it. But then a lot of the pressures happen of the industry, and you just like I've been on the road touring. Like in 2016, I toured like 280 days, which is like almost the whole year.
Holy shit.
And that's like multiple shows in a day, and like we were in Vegas 36 times that year. No one wants to be in Vegas 36 times in their life. So, and even that place is a weird reality and stuff. So anyway, you get lost in the sauce, and that's what happened to me. And that's even why I wanted to have this. It's like, I lost my identity in this game, and it's easy for that to happen. And that's why we wanted to like tell you guys just to like stay true to yourself, stay close to your friends that are outside of this industry, because they're going to be the ones like, let's say you have a good show, you play your first show and you're killing it. They're going to give you props, but then they're also going to like tease you about whatever, the clothes you're wearing or whatever. So like you need those real people in your life to kind of ground you and get you back to that. And like, I don't know, I kind of addressed it, but
yeah, no, that's perfect. I mean, that makes me think of, this is usually a shitty question that I would never ask, but I think it's kind of perfect for right now. Like if you could go back in time and give yourself advice when you were just starting off in this game, knowing what you know now, and this is for anybody, what would you tell yourself? Like what would you have wished you had known when you started that would have been helpful for you?
Ooh, I would have told myself that Jägermeister is not the drink. That's for damn sure.
I would just be like, chill.
Yeah.
I feel like you go so hard and you want to go so hard, and then
what do you mean, like with work, with
just
partying,
everything,
with
just
everything?
Chill.
Yeah.
Mostly partying, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it too, right? I think especially early on, I went through this for sure. You can just party every night and feel like you're accomplishing a lot, like you're killing it, but in reality, you're just partying.
See, my thing was, like, obviously, if you're a fucking DJ, you're playing parties. So, like, there's going to be opportunities to party and shit. And it's totally fine to do, you know, that and, like, get fucked up every once in a while. Like, no one's going to fucking call you a piece of shit for doing that. But the thing is like, it's like McDonald's. Like, you can't have that shit every day. And I've honestly only recently, I think I've been doing this probably like 8 years now, but I've only recently stopped drinking at shows, which was really big. And when I found out, like, I was thinking about it, I'm like, holy shit. Like, every show I've had, I've done a lot of fucking shows, whether they're small or big, or quick or long or whatever. But, like, I would drink at every single show because it just seemed like, okay, got to ease the nerves, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, like, then it would turn into me getting fucking shit-faced. And then I wouldn't even, like, do anything stupid, but it would just be like I would go to bed feeling like shit. I would wake up feeling like shit, and that whole day and the next day is ruined. And it's, like, ends up affecting the next day's show because the day before I could be, like, fucking doing backflips. And then the day after I'm just, like, barely hanging on, like, about to throw up on stage, you know? So it's, like, you just got to – it's not bad to party. Like, never feel bad about that. But just, like, watch how much you do it. You know what I mean? Because it'll fuck you up for sure.
No, I will. And also, like, think about that. He's giving you guys a cheat code too a little bit. It's like, okay, so he said it takes like 2 days to recover, a day or so to recover. Like, after that, it's like, why not use those 2 days to, like, make some crazy presets or, like, do something with your music or whatever, make a song. And just, I mean, you can turn that into a positive in any way you want. The other thing I was going to say with just the constant touring and stuff, like, we're very blessed that we get to travel and we get to go to multiple cities and get to do this. But for us, we go to Cleveland, Ohio, and that's the one night that I'm there, and it's like, oh, you're here, it's time to party. But the thing that they don't know, or what for me, I was in Austin the night before, and then I was in San Francisco the day before that, and those people there were like, yo, you got to party here, you got to party here. And for me, I was like, yeah, I want to keep up with the party. But after a while, it kind of snowballs, and it was just like, man, every city, it's the one time that they get to party. But for me, I'm like 5 parties in, and it just like, it definitely adds up. And then the career starts slipping and blah, 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 blah. So
that's your office. You're in there every day.
Yeah, man.
Right? People don't realize that, I think. As an artist, the club, the booth, that's your office. That's your desk, right? Like, you can't be, these people, they're there for one night, like he said, but we're doing this day in and day out. And if you want to be doing this not only day in and day out, but year in and year out, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, right? That's not sustainable. None of these people that you see out in the audience or that you see surrounding the booth drinking your Rider are going to be doing this shit in 10 years. They're going to be married with kids, hating themselves, right? You want to have fun? You want to be an artist for your whole life? It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, and actually, Blaise, do you want to talk just for a minute about what you're doing right now? Because I don't know if everybody in the audience is aware, and I think it's really relevant to what you just said.
I basically just been partying a lot, 24/7.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Fuck
Yeah, this is actually an intervention for Blaise.
His name's Blaise because he smokes hella weed.
Bro, I smoked that album, man. What was that shit?
Oh yeah, he smoked my album.
It's still high off Kurt's album. No, about a year ago when I left the label, part of me feeling this higher purpose was I felt this real desire. I had been, I went on a couple Ayurvedic retreats in India while I was still with the label that were recommended by a friend, you know, who said, like, this is going to help you chill out. This is going to help you with the stress, depression, all the different things that start to ramp up when you lose yourself in the sauce. And the things that I learned there and the things that I had been learning on the journey in my 20s, I mean, I started meditating when I was 24, 25. That was a huge life hack. Definitely do that. You don't need money. You can learn for free. Definitely do it. Seriously, that's the secret that all successful people, the top 1% of people, that's their secret. Eating the right things, that was a journey from my 20s. And, you know, every year I started learning more. In the Ayurvedic retreats, I learned more about sleep. And all these things sort of started to add up. And I looked around and I said, man, this is really helping me, and I know that it's, you know, it's helping a lot of the artists that I'm close with. I think that this could actually help the greater community around music and around arts and entertainment in general. So I didn't know what it looked like at the time. At first, I was like, oh, maybe I should start managing some of these doctors and like help promote their services, you know, and like maybe I can do good for the world in that way and help the industry in that way. But the way it ended up manifesting itself was partnered with a guy called Ben Turner, who manages a techno artist called Richie Houghton, who you may know. And if you don't, you should check him out. He's Pioneer.
Legend.
So Ben was having similar experiences in his world, which is the very like European underground techno world. It's all the same. You know, he was making a lot of these same realizations. And we got together about a year ago. We started a platform originally called Remedy State, which is now called Arete. Arete is a Greek concept meaning excellence through self-actualization, specifically relating to physical, mental, and spiritual training through music. So what we do, it's a platform where we advocate wellness and self-care within the industry, right? So right now we do fully immersive 2-day retreats that plug into existing festivals and conferences. So we just did our first one with the International Music Summit out in Ibiza, Spain this past May. The idea is we do it, like, so we might do one in between Coachella weekends this year, right? So the idea is you're already going to this event. You can show up early, stay late, or stay in between like Coachella. And you can get, you know, we have keynote lectures from world-class psychiatrists and doctors, one-on-one free consultations with nutritional therapists and, you know, psychiatrists. We have breathing workshops, yoga and meditation. All the meals are fully organic, curated by our nutritionist. There's panels with artists sort of, you know, talking, like panels just like this one, you know, and it's a very cool, very, you know, special little community. And we're soon going to be, we just launched a 24/7 radio station that lives on Dash Radio, which is 50% health and wellness talk stuff, and then 50% ambient restorative electronic music like Bonobo, Laraji, stuff you can just listen to and zone out, work, chill, smoke, meditate, whatever. And that'll soon be getting turned into an app with the goal that, you know, we can provide in one place all the resources that you know, aspiring or established artists like you guys might need. You know, when it's 5 a.m. and you're in India and you have no one to talk to, you can go on the app and you can listen to a podcast about, you know, dealing with loneliness or something like that, and eventually be able to even chat one-on-one with a practitioner through the app. So that's what I'm doing. And you can look us up, Remedy State on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Or me, I'm just Blaise James, Blaise James, and I'd be happy to like send out resources, connect you guys with people. Like if anyone has anything they want to inquire about, or just want to get pointed in the right direction with resources, things to read, things to, you know, oh, my sleep is fucked up. How do I, you know, whatever. Just feel free to, you know, hit me up.
Awesome.
And can I just say,
please,
for a dude like, because I don't think you understand, Blaise was like the boss, the owner, head honcho. I mean, not the owner, but you were the boss of OWSLA.
Was actually.
And when I got first signed to OWSLA, and I was so fucking stoked, it would always go through Blaise. You know what I mean? Like, he was and still is a very important motherfucker. So the fact that you left that to do this, that's like, shows how important it is. And like, you know that it's like, you might be doing this and it's cool, but if you're not fully enjoying it and you did this and you feel way better and you're helping other people, like, that's just like, that right there shows you that, like, got to do what makes you feel good.
Absolutely. And just to jump off of that, too, this is another point I really wanted to make, because I think as artists or label managers or anybody who's in this industry, we all exist as kind of islands to ourselves, right? Like we're all in our own little bubbles, our own little worlds. And I think it's really important. It's something I've been trying to do more, and I would encourage everybody here and everybody listening at home, everybody to do is just to reach out more to other artists. Like I think it's a community that we're in that we sometimes forget about, because it's really easy to just see somebody. Like I could just see Kurt at a show and just be like, "Oh, what up? Good to see you. How you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm great," and then we go do our thing. But if you take the couple extra steps to be like, you sure you look tired, or whatever it is, like I would love to see us taking care of our own a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. And just to run off that too, it's like another reason why we were having this talk was because like we saw Hardwell like this past year. He was like, he took some time off. He's retired or whatever. And then, I mean, Mac Miller passing and Peep and like all these people. There's a lot of stuff going on in this industry that isn't being addressed. And actually Carnage just tweeted out that he's taking some time off. So like all of us are going through stuff, and I'm sure you guys are going through stuff, and we're going to have a Q&A at the end because we want to know like what the struggles that you guys have been through, and because we've been there too. But we just want to make it like an open thing for everyone to discuss this, because it's been always quiet. Like what if someone stepped in and like told Peep not to do those drugs or whatever? Like what if someone stepped in? We could have great art still. We could have a lot of these things. So we just want to be the dudes in like the EDM side of it that can kind of like start saying something to get that conversation going.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that people can see the difference between thinking that it's something's a management move or something is an Illuminati move or like somebody's time for something. It's like most of the shit you see is planned, but most like important shit that you don't see isn't planned. And I feel like it's important to kind of see the difference between that, because not everything is, you know what I mean? Like for instance, like the first tour I ever went on, they had, it was sponsored by Rockstar Energy, and there was fucking thousands of cans of Rockstar on the tour bus, and you're not about to just drink that all the time. But like I found out that half of them, if not more, were Rockstar cans with water in them, and it even said on the can, it's kind of like fake money in movies. You know what I mean? Like it's not real money, or like in music videos and stuff. But it's like we're touring with water that's made to look like Rockstar, and that's like people want to think that we're fucking energized from Rockstar all the time, but it's like your body can't handle that shit. So like not everything is 100% is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, and to bounce off of what both of you guys just said, like if you guys take away anything, it's that I think it's okay to not be okay. Like I think we all feel that, especially with social media, like we have to put it out there that we're killing it every second of every day, and that things are great all the time, and we're just on this upwards trajectory, which no human on earth is on that trajectory. Everybody has their problems, and I think it's okay to have these discussions. It's okay to say, I'm not doing great today. And I think it's even better if you can recognize that in others and reach out to them.
Yeah, I feel like for me, until recently, I've always thought that talking to people about shit, maybe it's because I'm young, but like there was just a weird energy with it. Like if I wake up in the morning and you just know the day is going to be bad and you're like, fuck today. And then you see your friend in the kitchen or whoever you live with. And they're like, what's up, man? You're totally just going to act like everything's cool rather than being like, fuck this, dude. You know what I mean? But I don't know why I always thought like that. But until recently, I've been like opening up to like, I live with my brother now and like a couple homies. And it's like when you're real with someone, you get like that much closer. And it's like, it also helps because I don't think a lot of people understand the power of opening up, and not even opening up, just shooting the shit, just talking. If I'm silent all day, it's such a bad day. But like if I hang out with my homie all day, whether it's like we're playing video games and we're talking on Discord, or we're going to like a, I don't know, store, something. I don't know. But if you're conversating and like talking, even if it's not about your problems, it helps so much more than just being like reclusive as fuck, because it just makes it way worse.
Yeah, man. And yeah, that's kind of awesome you said that. Like when I started opening up to the community, to DJs and stuff and fellow people in the industry, that's when I realized I'm like, oh shit, I'm not the only one. I was in my head the whole time. I was like, man, I'm like, should I be thinking this? Should I be thinking that? And then like I'd open up to like one artist, and then they'd be like, yo, and then they would open up to me, and then like you could almost help them out, and they can help you out, and it was just like this reciprocation. And then yeah, now we're having this panel because of something like that. So yeah, it's good.
Real quick, just because today is International Men's Health Day. Did anyone know that? I don't even know there was a Men's Health Day, but there is, and it's today.
I feel like there's new shit every day.
New shit. Men's Health Day, motherfuckers.
2 weeks ago was like Donut Day.
Yeah, dude, Men's Health Day. That's what's up. So we're going to have a big party. It's Men's Health Day. So one thing that I've learned being a man, and I think this applies to men and women, you know, it's all just about everyone has a balance of masculine and feminine energy, right? Regardless of what gender you identify as. So this goes to everyone. It was another big lesson for me in the last year to learn about vulnerability. Right? That was something that me personally, I dealt with a lot in my 20s. And I bet everybody up here can probably remember when I was the OWSLA dude and I thought I was the shit and I was a hot shot. And I was like, really all it was I was deep down. I think suffered a lot from what people call impostor syndrome, right? I got into that game very young at 23, and I always kind of felt like, man, I'm way underqualified to be doing this, you know? Like working with someone like Skrillex, working with people like Tanner, like I don't belong here, you know? And I bet everyone in this room has felt that way. And I bet maybe some of the guys up here have even felt that way, you know? Like
every day.
I don't belong on the stage. I don't belong on this lineup, you know? And for me, that was my defense mechanism. That was my way of coping with it, right? Was I just acted really hard and I was emotionless and I didn't let anything shake me and I never let anyone see me sweat. And people would even say to me sometimes, you know, like, you seem very unapproachable. You seem a bit, you know, aloof or cold or whatever. And at best, sometimes people think you're just a dick. But at worst, it can really cut you out of enjoying the real fulfilling things about life if you never take those risks. And by risk, I mean risking getting hurt. I mean risking looking stupid, risking failing, risking rejection, people not liking you. And I lived my entire life up until about a year ago that way, right? Because I got hurt, like most people. I got hurt by some girls in like high school and college, you know, and I swore like, fuck that. That's never going to happen again. I'm going to turn my heart off. I'm never going to give it to anyone. I'm never going to give anyone the opportunity to hurt me ever again. And that's how I'm going to avoid being hurt. But really, I just cheated myself out of avoiding all the great things in life, connecting with other people, helping serve the world, expressing yourself. And I was really living a neutered existence because I was very scared of that. And there's great power as a man or a woman in being vulnerable, in saying how you feel, expressing the deepest root of your core, how you feel. And there's power in that. That is powerful. Being able to have the guts to bare your soul to the world is in and of itself power. So never be afraid of what might come of that.
I'm going to spin off of that too, because like a lot of us we got into music because there's some shit going on behind the scenes. And like you said, be vulnerable, like speak up about it. But I think, I don't know how, we'll ask you guys in a minute, but like part of the reason I made music was to escape some of those feelings. I couldn't tell someone how the fuck I was feeling. So I would like make music and I'd bury myself into the music. And like, that's how I'd express myself. And maybe that's how you guys do as well. But like, it's okay to go out those channels as well. I feel like us as creatives, we have these like struggles. For me, I grew up in a small town outside of Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is like a really, really small town. I was the only creative dude in that small town. They put me in special ed because I was weird. And like, but that was the thing. It was like this really small town and I got pushed away. So I was like, just like the only way I could express myself is like to put my heart into music and do that. So what I was going to say, yeah, you can speak up on it too, but you can also express that through music. The one thing that I can tell you from my advice is, or from my experience is, I ended up burying myself too deep into the music. And so like, that's what would happen is like, anytime I just didn't want to deal with reality, I was just like in the music. And then it made me like kind of like disassociate from like the actual reality. So maybe there's a way you can do that, but like also do take some time to like put pause on that and just do you a little bit as a human and get in touch with who you are.
Yeah, I for sure agree. I feel like, okay, for me personally, I started making, like, I wanted to learn guitar and drums because I don't know about you guys or whoever, but I have a problem with focusing on the negative shit that goes on in the world, but I just don't say anything about it because I know it'll cause some shit. But, like, having a hatred for a bunch of fucked up shit that you can't do anything about, I feel like I started making music for that, just like aggressive fucking death metal. I wanted to just like make all that, like just fighting music. And then it turned into like, okay, dubstep's cool and it's got a similar vibe and I want to rage. So went to that. And I feel like that is like the perfect representation of it. of like what you're feeling, because you can look at someone's shit and it could be the most like pretty fucking, you know what I mean, like complicated technical song, and you could think that it's just like, damn, they tried to make a top 40 banger and they made it and this is awesome, but it could also be a product of their mental health, and it could make fucking charts, it could go unheard, but it's like, have you ever like just listen to a whole album from someone and like try to picture like what they were either going through or thinking about or trying to show through this whole thing? I feel like it's really cool to do, but yeah, I feel like music is definitely a tool for that kind of shit, but it's also yeah, it's really healthy to sort of practice other shit.
Yeah, I think that's
music.
That's great. I want to get into the Q&A in a minute. So if you guys have any questions for us, anything you're going through, advice, like literally, you know, we're here to talk to you guys. So think about that for a second. And I wanted to maybe wrap up our little conversation kind of on this note of bringing it back to what music has brought into our lives, because we're talking about, you know, the tough things we go through, how we got here, but really we're here because we love this and we wouldn't want to be doing anything else. So for you guys on the panel, what has music brought to your life? How has it positively changed you? And how is this lifestyle, like what good things has it brought into your life? What are you grateful for? And for me, it would be, I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I had a super, shout out Minneapolis, had a super like standard middle class white background. Like I went to a nice private high school. Everyone around me was kind of white and just doing the same shit. Like culturally, I had a very narrow view, and music opened up my world that way. Like I met people from all different backgrounds, all different, you know, races, everything that I wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. And I was also a shy kid, as you can probably guess. And it, for me, allowed me to express myself in the same way everybody here is talking about, that, you know, I felt like through this, I could actually communicate with people and show people who I really was. So for me, that's something I'm always thankful for. And I'd like to know what you guys are thankful for.
Music for me, I'm still trying to figure out, like, not like why I love it or whatever. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing in music, because now I'm just doing,
shut up, you're killing it.
Well, now I'm just doing production stuff, but like one of the biggest things that I think music has brought me was just like those little moments where you can connect with people. And I'm not talking about like when you like look into a crowd and you see someone who's like really going crazy and you're just like, oh man, like I love that dude for just like having a good time. But
Barricade Boys.
Yeah, the Barricade Squad. No, like I'm there. Like there was one song I made of like the 6 songs I think I ever released under Aryay, because I was just like, I'm insane about my own shit. But there was one song I made that I made it in this super emotional time, and I was really hoping that would resonate, and I was really scared that it wouldn't resonate and that people would just be like, oh, it's just like a future-based song or whatever. But I had so many people like message me or come up to me at a show and be like, oh, that song, like my mom was really sick and like that song got me through it, or like really like deep stuff. And I think that also goes back to the idea of like not faking anything, because I made that shit when I was emotional, whereas like the biggest EDM song I made with like the Lawnmower was just like a banger, and there was no like emotion in it. It was just like, let's have fun and dance. But like the other song I'm talking about, I made when I was super emotional, and I think Blaise was saying that people can pick up on that. There's some like unspoken level of like energy, and people would pick up on it, and they took whatever emotion I had, and it helped them get through an emotional time. So that was probably, as like the touring DJ thing, like, and that was like the biggest thing that I got out of that and music.
I was going to say a similar thing. I think you set it up perfectly, is connection to other people. That's the one biggest thing that music has given me. Obviously introspection and knowledge of the self, but connection to other people. I mean, as simply as just friends to listen to music to, but also, you know, like Mickey was just saying, you know, like music brings people together. And for me specifically, what I was going to say is it's been really cool. I've been exposed to new cultures that I would have never been exposed to if it wasn't through music. You know, I think a lot of people don't realize that, house music and techno, while technically invented in the United States, people think that it's this like shiny, slick, European export, but like that shit was created by marginalized socio-cultural groups in Detroit and Chicago and New York City with the origins of disco, and like as first world people, we would maybe not always be exposed to the origins of whether it's like dub reggae or whatever it is. All these musics come from people and come from culture and come from their truth of their world. So it's really cool to be exposed to that because you learn a lot about the world and about yourself.
I mean, they pretty much touched on both the things I was going to say, but yeah, for real, I got to meet some of the best people, the most creative people, like through music, as well as like get to like not only change my life, but I got to change so many other people's lives. And I guess I'll spin off of what Mickey said, but I was super influenced by the Beastie Boys and they influenced me. And then I get to pass on what I learned from those dudes and like pass it to the next generation. And I've been in the game, like I said, for a minute. So now I'm seeing all these other producers are like, yo, Original Dawn was the first song that made me do this, or like one of your songs made me do that. And so I get to affect culture in a way, and then they get to take what I did and then they get to affect it. And then the next generation after that gets to affect it. So to be able to affect culture and just like keep that energy going forward like longer than I'll ever live is something that I think was like music is amazing to do.
Yo, you low-key invented trap though.
Yeah, maybe.
I swear,
trap right here.
Original Dawn was like the first shit I heard where I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, I want to say
What
something.
is shit was so tight.
What's
It
crazy
is so tight.
is like Kurt, like back to, I think Tanner was saying, like, I don't think Kurt ever sat out, or Kurt or Josh, to be like, let's do this thing. Let's make this, let's chase this thing. And it was just like you guys having low expectations in terms of like, you were just like, let's just make music and see what happens.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I feel like that falls back to the whole idea of like creating a genre. I don't think Flume set out to like be like, I'm going to make future bass or whatever. He probably just spoke from the heart. And even if fucking rolling hi-hats is speaking from the heart, then like, that's how trap was created. I don't know.
No. I mean, yeah, even just real quick to kind of spin off that too. It's just like, yeah, when Josh and I first started, when we did make Original Dawn, we started doing this trap stuff. It was like the bro step wave was going so hard. And it's crazy because Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites, like when I first heard that, I was like, ugh, like what is this? Like I was too old or something to understand it. And the funny thing is I'll play Scary Monsters next to like dubstep now and that shit sounds weak. It's so crazy. But at the time it was so weird to me that I couldn't attach to it. So then Josh and I just took what we knew. We knew like Afrojack Big Room House was something that was popping at the time, and we fucked with like Waka Flocka and like Lex Luger. And so we just kind of like mixed those two up and like made that genre. So it's so weird how that happened. But yeah. Anyway.
Wait, wasn't Moombahton also created off the back of Afrojack?
Yeah,
Isn't that
it was.
the story?
Yeah.
Yo, shout out
Afrojack is
Afrojack.
low-key out here birthing new genres.
That's why
without
he
even
still
realizing it.
headlines Ultra.
I mean, the name Moombahton, Afrojack had a song called Moomba.
Right, exactly.
That's
And
right.
Dave Nada flipped it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, crazy. It comes back to Afrojack always.
Fuck. Wow.
Shout
Never
out to
forget that,
Afrojack.
kids. It always comes back to Afrojack.
Yeah, he's on Forbes.
He's really tall. That's all I know about
Big dude.
Afrojack. Yeah.
But I think what I've gotten so much shit from music. But I feel like for myself, I've gotten new coping mechanisms besides just being funny. That was my only coping mechanism. But now I can, like I was saying, write an angry song and then write a pretty song and then write a song for my girlfriend and then a song for my parents or a song for my dead homie. But like, I feel like that for myself is good because it's like, I always call it my Xanax. Like, I used to take Xanax back in the day, and it would like make all that shit disappear. So it's like my Xanax is just like working on my laptop. And then I think from like publicly, shit like this is like my favorite shit. I love like I think the last time I did like probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was just teaching some shit in here one time like a guest thing. And it's the same shit today where I could play in front of 40,000 people at Lollapalooza and be like bored and not nervous. But even this shit, it's like so personal that I'm like nervous. And it's like, it's shit like that like makes you kind of think. And like, I don't know, it's weird. But like, I feel like the connection with the people and like I put an album out and I had so many fucking people come up to me. Like instead of, like I always compare it to, and it sounds whack, but the amount of people that say "Suh, dude" at my shows compared to the people who like are front row singing all my shit, come up to me afterwards, like try to fight security just so they could give me a hug, like shit like that. It's like, dude, I'm not that important. I'm not that cool. I'm just like you. But the fact that you see me as this like crazy icon, dude, no pun intended, but it's just so crazy because it makes yourself feel good because all you're doing is fucking pressing buttons on your laptop and making weird shit, and then it's like helping people while also helping you. It's just like, it's a cool effect.
I agree,
cool
man.
Effect.
Yeah.
We all four said the same answer, kind of.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing.
Ways. Yeah, that probably means something.
Yeah. Well, and I'm thankful for all of you guys and all of us being here and everybody in this room, man. Just having the connection today. I think that's really what it's all about.